Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the Nick and Sanjee podcast, where we share our tips and tricks on how to grow a YouTube channel as we ourselves go on that journey. How are you today, Nick?
I am good. I just got back from a big overseas trip, but I've pretty much fully recovered and back into the content, so it's feeling good. How are you?
I'm good. I enjoyed seeing some of the content that you were sharing while you're on your trip. I was impressed to see that the YouTube channel was still putting out content, so there's a lot to learn around how to set things up so that they can keep going while you're not around.
Yep.
But I'm excited to get back into it. For those of you who may not know, we have not recorded something in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's
Probably longer now. It's probably like a month.
a month. There you go. So it's been a while since we've been back in the saddle.
Yeah.
So here we go. And also shout out to everyone who's been listening to us on the various platforms: Spotify,
Yes.
Apple iPod, Apple Music, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
And YouTube. But today's episode is on why you should start a newsletter as a YouTuber. We're going to go through our personal experience in starting and using newsletters, main benefits of building a list, how to grow your subscriber list in terms of your newsletter, how to come up with topics. So to start off, Nick, let's start with our own experience in starting and running newsletters. Tell us a bit about your newsletter.
Well, my personal experience with starting and running newsletters is pretty limited. So this is just, my limited experience, what I've learned so far. But essentially, when I started my YouTube channel, it probably would have been maybe 6 months to a year, probably a year into it. I think I heard someone say, "Oh, if you've got a YouTube channel, you should have an email list." And I was like, "Okay, I'll start an email list." And that was pretty much it. I think I sent out, I don't know, like I didn't promote my email list, like my newsletter really. I think I had a little pop-up that would appear in my YouTube videos, and I just put that in my YouTube videos. That was pretty much the only promoting I did. And I think I grew maybe 30 subscribers, 40 subscribers in the first year and a half, something like that.
Yep.
And yeah, I think I sent about 2 emails.
Yep.
Can't remember what they were about. I think they were just sort of stuff that I was interested in at the time. So it was very vague. And I didn't really enjoy it because I'm not a huge fan of writing at the best of times. So I was kind of like, this is kind of boring. And I didn't really know what to write about either because my content was quite varied at the start. Like I did all sorts of different types of content. So I didn't really know who I was emailing, like, because I didn't really know where my subscribers were coming from. So yeah, it was pretty limited, and it's only been the last, I think, probably 3 months really that I've started to take it seriously, and actually put some proper effort into it and promote it and stuff. So that's kind of where I'm at now, and I've definitely been learning a lot in the last 3 months, and I'm hoping to continue to grow it. So that's pretty much my experience. Like, what's your experience been with your email newsletter?
Yeah, similar. And I would be curious around how many YouTubers who did start newsletters probably had a similar experience of, we started because we thought it was a good idea, and we heard people say when you have a YouTube or any kind of platform, social media based platform, and you've got subscribers, you have to realize you don't have any actual access and kind of control over those subscribers. So you can always be deplatformed, or something can happen and you lose favor in terms of the algorithm. So one way to actually, people who are interested in your content and want to genuinely stay connected to you, that they can do that is through a newsletter, because once you've collected that newsletter or you've got access to that email address, then you can easily tell people about what's going on, and they might miss you through the YouTube algorithm, but they'll still, everyone still gets an email. There's no algorithm essentially around email. If there's an email that's sent to you, you receive it. Not everyone reads every single email, but that's the idea. So we'll touch on frequencies of newsletters and whatnot, but that was also my experience. Was I kicked it off similar to you. I had something in my YouTube videos where I said sign up, or a little pop-up.
Right.
In the YouTube description, I had a little thing saying sign up to my newsletter. Did you have something similar?
Yep, I had that as well.
That's it. And then I think I kicked mine off around 2021, and I also did about 3 editions, let's
Yep.
say, and they were good. And I think yours would have been good too in terms of open rates. Like it was over 50%, easily over maybe 70% on a couple.
Yeah, wow.
And for anyone who's watching, that's pretty good open rates for any kind of electronic thing. It's better than we get on our YouTube videos.
Yeah,
honestly.
way better.
Click-throughs is lower than that. So, and yeah, I think mine was also mine grew through videos. I could see I'd put out a video and I could see it would have a bit of a surge in terms of growth. And then maybe I don't put out a video and no one's really subscribing. It's settled down to now about one a week. I'll get an email coming through saying, you've got a subscriber. I've not minded the fact that I haven't put out a lot of editions because I think it's non-invasive in a way, the whole idea of the newsletter. Like you have people join it, but as long as you're not sending out useless stuff, some people will just forget that they've actually even subscribed to your thing.
Yeah.
So when we do restart our newsletters, and I'm more speaking to myself on this one, when I do restart, I'll probably have to say to everyone, this is me. You signed up probably back in 2021 expecting X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
This is the reality of what's going to happen.
Yep.
Feel free to unsubscribe. I won't take it personally. A lot has changed.
Which is what I did when I restarted my newsletter a few months ago. I just said at the end of the email, this is essentially, the whole email was essentially talking about the new direction of the newsletter. And if you're not interested in that stuff, then feel free to unsubscribe. I was surprised though. I mean, I didn't have many subscribers to start with, but I probably only had 3 unsubscribes or something like that. So you might be surprised how many people are still interested in your stuff.
Absolutely. That's a great line. I'm still surprised people watch my videos at all. So it's true. Like we're always constantly surprised. So if you are consuming our content, massive shout out. Thank you for that. Because we're both genuinely surprised most days. All right. Well, let's get into some of the benefits of starting a newsletter and running a newsletter. Hit us with a couple on your end, Nick, in terms of when you kick off a newsletter, what are some of the benefits of it?
Well, again, these are the benefits that I've learnt about in the last few months, which is part of the reason why I'm aiming to grow my own newsletter. But that makes sense to me. Like you already sort of touched on the idea of being able to own your own audience, because on platforms like any platform, YouTube, Instagram, anything like that, you don't own your subscribers. So if anything was to happen, I think it's pretty unlikely with our type of content. Like we don't have particularly controversial content.
Yeah.
But if anything was to happen to our account, like, whatever, like we've still got a connection with our audience. So that's kind of one of the big reasons why people recommend starting a newsletter. And then the next one, which to me is probably the most important, is like it's more direct contact with your followers and subscribers. And I'd say generally it's the people who are most loyal to your content or your brand or your personality or whatever it is. And I'm trying to be thinking about my own experience with that. Like the people that I follow the most closely, I actually do subscribe to their email newsletters because I do want to hear more from them. And I always actually, like, there's some people who I really look forward to reading their emails, because I'm so interested in their content. So it's kind of a way of building that rapport, engagement, and connection with your kind of true fans. I can't remember. There's a book that talks about 1,000 true fans. I think it is.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess it really sort of plays into that whole concept of like building that real strong connection with your core audience. Because I guess even on YouTube, like you'll get kind of casual subscribers who might watch 1 or 2 of your videos, subscribe, and then never watch again, or they might just watch once in a while. So they're not necessarily the audience you're wanting to target the most. So that's a couple of benefits that I've thought of. Have you had any thoughts on that?
Yeah, similar. I also was thinking about, like, I think I'm surprised that we, the whole idea of having a loyal fan base, if you're not used to the idea of being like a musician or some kind of artist, like if you've mainly worked, very stock standard jobs in Australia, the whole idea of having people be a fan and loyal to your work is kind of a new thing.
Yeah, that's true.
When you start a YouTube channel. So I think, and at some point we'll probably have to talk about the risks of having people who are overly loyal to your things and overly keen on your things.
Yeah.
But just taking a moment, like the whole idea is quite unique that once you get over, you realize there's a certain level of graduation, and those people who are very loyal will want to know more. They'll want to be a little bit more connected, and they appreciate anything you put out there to some extent, and they'll consume it. So it's great to have that channel for them so that they feel like you can, they feel like they've got that more direct connection.
Yep.
Now, there are other people who will then take advantage of that. They'll then try and monetize that, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's the kind of people we are necessarily. They'll put roadblocks and whatnot to try and get that access. But that's probably been something I've realized is it is exactly like your point around. It's a great way to just connect with people who really want to know about your content and gives you that opening to them. One of the other things that I think is valuable around a newsletter is potentially it's where you can share things that may not be as useful or as engaged in your main content channel as well.
Yep.
So you can share general life updates and things like that maybe people are interested in, but it can be a couple of dot points, but they're not purely relevant to your main channel. But it's a great way to put it out there and just see if people are interested and engaged in that as well.
And on that, I think, like I was thinking, even as you were talking about how, because you're building that direct connection with your core audience, the people that you're actually targeting, I think that's like really valuable for you as a creator as well. Because I know for me, again, because I come from like my channel previously being very broad and not very niche, I had a whole range of people watching my content. I didn't always know what people were interested in or like what people were looking for or what type of questions people were asking. But especially now that my newsletters, like I'm trying to make it very specific, I'm attracting a very specific group of people who have very specific questions, very specific problems, and it helps me with the content as well because I'm getting direct feedback from that core audience. It's not feedback from a huge pool of people with varied interests. It's very specific. So I think that's another big benefit. And then the last one, the last big benefit I want to talk about was it's a great place to sell your own products and make money. And that's another reason why I'm trying to prioritize growing it. Because again, this year, like going full time, making sure it's sustainable has been a big priority. And I've found with affiliates, it can fluctuate a lot. With sponsorships, it can fluctuate a lot, and it's can be quite stressful at times trying to negotiate fees and contracts and everything. So I'm trying to work towards like a more sustainable income that's more regular and consistent. And from what I hear from a lot of other big creators is that the email list is like the way to go to get consistent income, because it's like, again, you're building a direct connection with your core audience who are really interested in your stuff. They trust you and they're willing to spend money on your products. And then again, I think if you can tailor really specific solutions that are really helpful to people in your particular niche, and then monetize that, then I think like that's a huge opportunity. So that's kind of what I'm working towards at the moment as well.
Awesome, Nick. And before we move into the next topic, let's just confirm what are the platforms that we use to get started with in terms of our newsletters?
For me, I was using Mailchimp for ages to collect email addresses. I think that's still a good option because it's completely free. And then the one I just recently moved over to is ConvertKit, and I do find ConvertKit like a lot better. It's a lot simpler. But you kind of have to pay for the most basic tier to sort of get the full benefit of ConvertKit. But I think it's totally worth it, especially if you're going to take it seriously. So they're kind of the two I'd recommend. How about for yourself?
Awesome. Yeah, so I kicked off with Substack, which was quite heavily used by, I think, a lot of the Ali Abdaal crew. And I don't think there's any cost associated with it. You can sign up for free with this one, but it is, like you said, basic features often. And some of these platforms will also say, if you've got under a certain amount of subscribers, they'll give you access to certain things for free because it's probably not worth their time to worry too much about generating revenue from you. Probably when we both have got a few more runs on the board and a few more episodes down the track, we can probably talk about like advanced features, automation of all these platforms and all those extra features. But probably to start with, Mailchimp and Substack are very reasonable things to kick off with. So let's move on into how to grow and how to come up with topics. Once you've started a newsletter, what are ways that you can grow them? So I'll kick off with, I know one way is the newsletter by itself is usually completely in the middle of nowhere. Most people will not find your newsletter unless you do mention. It's not like YouTube. YouTube, you just have to put out the video and the algorithm will find a way to promote you.
Yep.
When it comes to a newsletter, best way, I think, at least for both of us, has probably been put it in your YouTube video. So that's your marketing thing. Refer to the newsletter, leave a link very easily in your description for people to click on and link into it. And yeah, go ahead, Nick. What about some of your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I was going to say pretty much the same thing about actively promoting it. Because I think that was the mistake that I made, in the first however many years of my newsletters. I didn't actively promote it. It was like passive promotion. And so you'd get a handful of people, but it wouldn't be many. And I actually heard a content creator, Tom Noski, he's a guy from Melbourne. I heard him say something like, people put all this effort into creating content to promote brands. So like when they get a brand deal, they'll put a lot of effort into an advert or they'll create a whole video. Like I've definitely done that. But they won't put anywhere near that level of effort into promoting their own stuff.
Yeah.
And he was saying, if you put that same level of effort into promoting your own stuff, imagine, the return you're going to get on that. So that's kind of how I try and think about it now. Even with my just regular videos, which I'd say maybe 10% of my videos are sponsored, maybe 20%. And then the rest I try and think about, I'm my own sponsor. That's kind of how I try and think about it. So I'll have a segment in the video saying, promoting my own product. And usually that's my newsletter. So I'll just say, hey, if you're more interested in more of this type of content, check out my newsletter. And that's been good. And I've also put it in a really conspicuous spot on my YouTube banner. So I've got a link directly under my YouTube banner so people can directly sign up. And I've started getting some signups through that. And then the other main method of growing that I'm trying to figure out and testing out is like creating lead magnets.
Yep.
So for me, it's mainly just through giving away free stuff. So the main ones for me is my Latin preset that I give away for free. I get, I don't know, maybe 5 downloads a week or something like that at the moment.
Yep.
And then I try and create with some videos that lend themselves to it. I'll create a PDF guide that goes with the video. So it's kind of designed to, be a takeaway, pamphlet, if you will, with the video to try and add additional value to the video itself. So I'll just say in the video, if you want like a PDF guide, step by step on how to do this thing that I talked about, or more information or whatever it is, just put your email in the link in the description and I'll send it to you for free. And that signs them up to my newsletter. So I've started getting some subscriptions coming through that as well, which has been really good. So at the moment, I'm growing around 10 subscribers a week, something like that. So it's moving in the right direction, which is really good. But yeah, I'm still got a lot to learn. But how about yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. I really like the idea of the PDF guide, and to some extent, I think a lot of people now know that is the currency of a transaction sometimes on the internet is you want to get something for free. Often they'll say, yep, no worries, we'll send it to you. Give us your email. Yep. And in the back of your head, they're probably going to sign me up to something, but I can always unsubscribe if I want to down the track.
Yeah, exactly.
And exactly like you're saying, there's been a few things where I've signed up and they've added me on and I've stayed on. Like I've been like, oh yeah, this is handy stuff. And other times where I've let it go through for a bit and then I've thought, okay, I'm going to remove myself. That was purely a one-off transaction with this particular creator, and I don't really need to keep engaged with them. So it's a great kind of low-cost way. And I'm curious, the ways that you set up the PDF and the backend, all of that, was that all automated through ConvertKit?
Yeah. So that's like the big benefit of paying for the paid subscription of ConvertKit is it enables you to have automated sequences. So I've got it all set up automatically. So if someone signs up with a specific form that I link to on a specific video, it'll send them that specific PDF or product, and then sign them up to my main email list. So
Yep.
you don't get the automation if you have the free version, basically.
Yep. Understood. The only thing I would add to that is I think when I've seen surges in sign up have usually been when in a video I would mention ABC things, and then I'd say, and by the way, if I might touch on D and E in my newsletter, click here to sign up,
I
and
like
that kind of
that.
thing. And that's where I would do it. In a moment of honesty, I'll be honest, I think I've said that and then never gotten around to doing something around it. So there's a few people who may have signed up expecting me to send something about a portfolio, and I never got around to it. I mean, look, the worst case is you sign up to something that hasn't come through. Don't worry, I will send you a reminder in the coming days saying you may have signed up to a newsletter expecting ABC. It's not going to happen. Feel free to unsubscribe. It's not the end of the world.
That's great, though. I actually really like that idea. I'm gonna have to remember that one, because it's a good incentive and it gives them real value. So
yeah,
I like it.
I think what I did was I did a combination. So I said I'm going to talk about these things and leave a comment below on anything else you want me to touch on, and I'll probably follow up on the newsletter. So I sort of encourage people to comment, and then from the comment I would do a bit more work, and then the idea would be I would then send out a newsletter. So of connected that through. A surprising moment of clarity in terms of my strategy.
Yep.
All right, let's get on to the itchy topic that comes up in every platform when you're talking about being a content creator is how do you continue to come up with topics, or how do you come up with the initial topics and your long-term topics? I'm keen to hear from you, Nick. How do you come up with some of your cracker topics, which actually on your new round of newsletter, I really enjoyed that one where you went through some of the analytics. But yeah, how did you come up with the idea to share the broader idea for that particular edition?
Well, I think the big thing that's really helped me start to enjoy actually writing out these emails and then being consistent with it and coming up with ideas is just being more specific with my niche. Because again, before when my niche was very broad, or wasn't even a niche, where my channel was very broad, I just didn't know what to write, didn't know where to start, didn't know who I was targeting. But the more specific I've gotten, and the more tailored my audience has become, the more I know who I'm emailing, and I can come up with I can easily come up with a list of different ideas of things that I know could help people.
Yep.
So, for me, I'm trying to target people who are just getting started in content creation, want help with the basics when it comes to video production quality, and then some basic YouTube stuff. So I just pretty much I've got an Apple Note where I just type out anytime I have an idea of something that might help a beginner, I'll just add it to the list, and then I've got this big list of topics. And then I just usually break them down into subtopics, or just take that topic on its own, and then I'll just write an email newsletter about it. I enjoy it because it's more specific. I feel like I'm helping someone. It's stuff that I'm interested in. That's the main thing for me. It's just being more specific and niche. So how about you?
Yeah, I love it. I think the key thing we probably should have also touched on is there's something about writing and the art of writing that helps you clarify your thoughts, and also you feel a lot of value as you do that. There's a lot around just talking through it in your head, I guess, and then putting it on paper, and you realize, oh, that doesn't make sense. I can clarify that. And I absolutely agree. Once you start to niche down, like when I started to niche down a bit around how to get started in investing, I knew, from there, the forks would come out, the tree leaves would start to come out, and I'd see, okay, yeah, there's a thing there, there's a thing there, there's a thing there.
Yep.
And it's probably connected to some of our YouTube stuff as well, is you really just need the initial 2 or 3 topics. And then from there, as you put out content, whether it's a newsletter or video, the ideas will start to spread out. And often, I like what you said around the topic by itself may actually be quite a fat topic, and you should try and break it down into more subtopics. And that's usually the level that people are willing to engage at. Because if you actually do an end-to-end process on something, it can sometimes be a bit too much.
Yep.
So breaking it down helps a lot, and that can be multiple newsletter ideas out there.
Yeah, totally. And I saw a video again recently from a guy I really trust, and he was basically saying one of the most valuable skills you can have as a YouTuber is writing. You know, the better writer you are, the better scripts you can do, and then that just informs the rest of your content. So even if you look at it, like I'm trying to personally look at it from the point of view of, even I'm just developing my writing skills by having a newsletter. You know, if I get nothing else out of it, I'm, you know, hopefully hopefully developing my writing skills.
Yeah.
Because again, yeah, like you say, it makes you think about what you're writing, helps you clarify your thoughts, and also I think the big thing for me is also I try and think about it from the point of view of the reader. Like,
Yep.
is this actually helping them? You know, and is it engaging enough for them to actually read it? Because
Yep.
you know, some of my emails, like from my point of view, they're kind of on the longer side. So I'm like, are people actually going to sit here and read through all this? You know, like
Yep.
and how do I make it engaging enough that people would be willing to sit through and read it? You know, and I think if I can develop that skill in writing with an email newsletter, I can translate that to my YouTube video scripts, and then hopefully my YouTube videos will improve as well. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of a win-win all around, really. Like I think it's really valuable.
Yeah, absolutely. My approach often in life around that idea of keeping attention, I think I take a bit out of corporate Australia, has often been put it down on paper and then come back and cut and always cut and cut. I think that's always been my issues. I feel a real sense of paralysis if I have to start by thinking what's the best way to write this.
Right.
So often I'll start with a longer version of probably what I'm going to send, but I've got everything that I thought I should do. And then I'll come back and say, all right, cut that out, cut that out, cut that out. And it helps with the YouTube videos as well. Like we've all got experience on this.
Yep.
If you minus away the multiple takes of a typical 7-minute video, I'd probably start with about 12 or 13 minutes initially that I think is good.
Yep.
And then after a few rounds, I realize, no, I'm not adding any value there. I'm not adding any value there. I'll cut that out. And it's very similar with my writing.
Right.
Often is, yeah, I'll write it all down and then I'll come back, remove a lot of stuff. Awesome. Well, let's get on to our tip of the week. This week it is me, and I'm going to tell everyone and encourage everyone, if you are starting out in content creation and you've got a broad topic in mind, use Google Trends to go and test how popular is that topic right now and what are some associated keywords. So Google Trends is perfectly free to use. Google just basically lists what's the popular topics in whatever time frame that you're looking at. A keyword search you can put in. So for example, I put in ETFs and I can see, when has ETFs been popular? Is it popular relative to what it was maybe 6 months ago, a year ago? And where are we now? And that's helped me understand a bit around why some of my videos are probably not getting as much attention, is because the topic of the ETFs has sort of come off the boil. And because Google owns YouTube and they're all interconnected, it's kind of a good proxy for knowing what's a good YouTube topic out there to put, and also what are some associated ideas around that topic. So for example, I might put ETFs, and then I'll see the Google Trends outputs will say, well, yeah, people are searching ETFs, but they're also searching ComSec and CMC and how to invest and best ETF topics. And I can take that idea and those keywords and build videos around that, knowing, that's what people are searching. So I'll create content for that, which is healthy if that's your niche in a way. And over time, as your YouTube channel grows, YouTube's backend analytics will also start to provide you with additional data on these types of things, saying, hey, these are some of the popular trends that you might want to touch on. And also, these are some of the videos that people who are watching your videos are also watching. So you get a feel for, are they all interested in shares, or do they like shares and real estate? Where are they at in terms of their viewership and what they're interested in?
That's cool. And I feel like you could, research the information and cross-check against each other. So if there's stuff that people are interested in your YouTube analytics, cross-check that against the Google Trends. So yeah, definitely valuable.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's end it there. Nick, where can people find you on the internet?
I am on YouTube, Nick Kendall, and I've just rebooted my Instagram. So I'm I'm starting posting on Instagram again. We'll see how long it lasts. But my Instagram is Nick Kendall _. And then my newsletter is Create Better. So yeah, there's links all through my YouTube channel if you want to sign up.
Fantastic. And for me, I am Sanjee Sen on YouTube, sanjeesen.com on the website, and the other platforms I wouldn't bother. I'm not really that active on Instagram, X, or Threads. I have kicked up a Threads. Look, if you want to find me, you can find me, engage with me through those. I'll do my best. But I think YouTube's probably the best place to engage for now.
Nice.
Thanks, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye for now.